Everyone can be in a passionate, loving relationship with one person the rest of their life, but you just have to have the wisdom. Hi, this is Coach Ratner, and today we're going to talk about the 10 Commandments of marriage. You know, it's interesting. When Moshe comes down from the mountain, he comes with 2 tablets. Why didn't he come with 1? Well, one of the reasons is because it would show that there's an order to each of the commandments. But as we know, they're all important. The first 5 deal with between man and God. But the second 5 are between man and man. It's not just between man and man, though. It's the first 3 of the second 5, do not kill, do not do adultery, and do not steal, are all about actions, things we do with our hands. The 9th commandment, do not bear false witness, has to do with your speech. The 10th commandment has to do, do not covet, has to do with your thought. So we have action, we have speech, and we have thought. Now, just like the 10 Commandments is about a relationship with man and God, we also have relationships with our spouses. And so what I did is I decided to take each of the 10 Commandments and relate them to marriage. And that's what this class is about. The first commandment of the 10 Commandments is Anochi Hashem. I am God. Now, I don't know about you, but does that sound like a commandment? No, it's a statement. So how do we translate that statement, Anochi Hashem, I am God? Most of the time it's translated is that we are to know God. Why is it to know God? Because, I can sit here and say, I'm Coach Ratner, but you really know me? Unless you've been to a lot of my classes, been to my Shabbos table, met my wife and my kids, see us interact together, you don't really know me. There's no reason for you not to believe it, but you don't know me. And of course, you can't invite God to Starbucks to know him, right? So you have to learn his Torah. But think about this. You're going to get married. You're walking down the aisle and you're in love. And really, how do you know what speaks to your spouse? How do you know what drives them? Do you really know them? Obviously, if you dated only a few times, you barely know them. If you dated a long time, you know them better, but you still don't know them. You haven't lived together. And it's unlikely that a man is about to walk down the aisle till chuppah, and his wife hands him a note. Honey, these are my needs. I need you to rub my back every day. Please tell me you love me every day. Buy me a $5,000 shadel, and make sure you lease me a BMW. No, she's not telling you her needs. So how do you know what they are? We know God because we learn his Torah. It's the only way for us to know God. You can almost say that, a relationship is even tougher with a spouse because you're having, Venus and Mars to come together. So how do you know what speaks to each other? Well, this is what I'm going to teach you. And the reason why I started teaching about this is because when I think about marriages, I grew up in the secular world. I did not become religious until I was observant until I was about 45. And most relationships fail. I have to say it. Most marriages fail. And just because you're married for 50 years doesn't mean it's successful. As we know, especially in the secular world, about half marriages are divorced. And the other half, how many of them are in passionate marriages? Not many. You're walking down the aisle today and you think you're going to be in love forever, and it doesn't last that way. Because one of the reasons we don't know what speaks to our spouse. And this is what I decided I have to put this down into a class. I have to write books about it and have to teach you what it means. And the only reason why I'm doing this is because for some unknown reason, God gave me a skill that I even knew back as a teenager, that is the ability to understand relationships. I remember going to weddings of friends of mine in my 20s, again, not religious. And I'm like, oh man, that has no shot to work. And unfortunately, I was right. I don't know why. I don't want to be right. I don't want marriages to fail. But I understand what drives each person. And it's different from man and women. And since she's not going to give us that list, he's not going to give us, this is what I need for you, honey. No, because a lot of times you get married really young, you don't even know what you need. But really what you need, I'm telling you, for the woman, this is my thought, is that they need what I call the 4 A's in a relationship. It's attention, affection, appreciation, and awareness of their needs. And I think the reason why these are so important, because when a man shows her the 4 A's, when he gives her proper attention, when he gives her affection, not just physical affection, but affectionate words out of his mouth, when he shows her appreciation, not just thank you, but actually the act of showing, I feel appreciative for who you are as a person. And awareness, I think, is like one of the most important things. Awareness of their needs. And I hold by this now. I'm telling. I jokingly say to my students, I say, if you want to have a great marriage, write a book on marriage. It's a game changer. Just this past week when I woke up, actually, I got back from davening and my wife had on the counter a note, and it said green apples. And I had to go to the store for something else. So of course, I get green apples. I don't like, oh, I'll do it another time. No, I do it right then. If I get a text from my wife, yeast, I know she wants to make challah, and I know she wants to make it now. I immediately go home and I get her. On the way home, I do it. I don't stop. I'm doing it, but on the way home, I make sure I have to go out of my way. I will do it because I have awareness of her needs. And I want her to know that I have her back. I want her to know that I'm here for her, that I'm gonna be there when she needs me. And that's what creates a passionate relationship. Again, you can be married 50, 60 years, and maybe it's not so passionate. And I want to create passionate, loving relationships that last a lifetime. I put my marriage on a pedestal, and I do everything to protect it. Because when I'm building my family, I'm not just creating my marriage with my wife. I'm creating a marriage for my children, and I'm creating a marriage for their children and their grandchildren. Because there's a lot of dysfunction in the world today. And you don't get rid of that. You can't figure out where that dysfunction is coming from. It's going to go from generation to generation to generation, as we see in many families. I'm trying to stop this. Now, the needs for women are different than a man. You know, I have a topic which we get to is that the 3 questions you must ask before you get married. And the third question that a woman has to ask before she marries a man is, do I respect him? Men don't know this in their early 20s. They have no idea. They think they want to be loved. They don't be loved. They want to be respected. Women need to be respected also, but women feel respected when a man shows her the attention, the affection, the appreciation, and the awareness. That's going to come across as respect. Men are a little bit different. I would say women are a little more complicated. One of the key things I teach my class is, I believe that everyone thinks they have the knowledge of what it means to be in a fantastic relationship. Knowledge. We want to know God. We want to know what our spouse needs. But knowledge is not enough, because you can know, oh, yeah, I have to do this with my wife, I have to clean the kitchen, I got to do this. But if you don't put that knowledge into practice, if you don't turn it from knowledge to wisdom, you're going to struggle. And I teach the wisdom, actual wisdom. And we're going to learn one trick tonight, that's going to be a game changer in relationships. And not everyone's going to agree with you. Not everyone's going to agree with what I'm doing. But it's okay. Knowledge is knowing that a tomato is a fruit. Wisdom is knowing not to put it in a fruitcake. If you don't go into a relationship with the proper wisdom, you're the fruitcake. Don't be a fruitcake. Men need to be respected. When I coach young ladies who are dating a guy, and I ask them, they're not sure if they want to marry them or not. They've been on 5, 10 dates. Should I marry this guy? I don't know. I'll ask, do you respect him? If they hesitate, they look away, there is an issue. It's interesting. Most people walking down the aisle, most women are going to respect their husbands. What happens between I do and I can't? What happens there? What's happened? They stop respecting them? Probably because it's a mutual thing where he stops showing her attention, she stops respecting him, and that relationship falls apart. So here's a trick for the women. Again, not everyone agrees with me. It's okay. This works for me, and it might work for you. And the reason why it works for men, because if you think about it the other way around, it seems kind of weird. When a man walks in from learning, walks in from work, and he hasn't seen his wife all day, she has different needs. She needs to connect to her husband on an emotional level. This is the thing that men need to learn. Women need an emotional connection. The first commandment is to know God. You have to know your spouse. I'm telling you, men, your wife wants emotional connection. And how you do that is when you come home, you put your phone down and you ask her 3 questions. But before that, for her to show respect to you, it's so important. Because before a woman knows this, her husband walks in, says, hi, honey, whatever, she doesn't say anything, or she's in the kitchen, she's talking to her friend on the phone, or she's playing with the kids and doesn't recognize her husband. He wants to walk in feeling like he's king of the jungle. So she should pretend to be on the phone, or actually be on the phone. Loud enough for her husband to hear. Sarah, I have to go, my husband just walked in. Click, hi, honey. Game changer. Because what's happening is he's recognizing that his wife is stopping what she's doing to recognize that her husband is walking into the house. And that is more important than running up to him and giving a hug and a kiss, which never lasts more than a week after marriage anyway. Men need respect. Now, as we talked about women needing attention, here's another trick. When a man comes home from work, after his wife recognizes that she's walking to the house, he goes up to her and he asks her 3 questions. And the reason why this is so important is because most men rather go grab it. I remember when I was early married, I wasn't religious. I wanted to come home, I wanted to grab a beer, sit on the couch, and watch highlights of ESPN, NFL football. I didn't need to talk to my wife. I had things on the phone. I had deals on the phone. In my head, I'm like, I don't want to talk to my wife. But I have to understand she has different needs than me, and she needs to connect to me. She's been home all day with the kids. She's been working, whatever a wife's going to be. 3 questions. Number 1, what did you do today? If you know something specific that she did, ask her about it. It shows that you care about her life. Number 2, what are you thinking about or what's in your mind? And number 3, how do you feel? These 3 questions, what did you do today? What are you thinking about or what's in your mind? How do you feel? Connect to 3 of the 4 parts of relationship. And those 4 parts are called PIEs. It's an acronym. It stands for physical, intellectual, emotional, and spiritual. What did you do today? Physical, her hands. What are you thinking about? What's in your mind? Intellect. And how do you feel? Emotional. And this is the most important thing. As a man, you got to sit there and listen for at least 15 seconds. I'm kidding, obviously. But we have to do a better job of connecting to our spouses. Because when we come home and ask those 3 questions, I'm telling you, it's a game changer in a relationship. Now, on the other hand, women have to realize that men only have so much bandwidth. We don't have this need to connect as much. I can go to a Knicks game or a Giants game, New York Giants football game with a buddy of mine. We say 10 words to each other, have a few beers, have some peanuts, right? We had a great time. You ever watched an NBA game? Center court, like a finals game. Center court, 3 rows up, like killer seats. And you see 2 women sitting there. What are they doing the whole time? They're talking. It makes me crazy. And they're not breaking down defenses either. Because that's how they connect. And as men, we have to understand how they connect. And when we do a better job of connecting to them, they'll do a better job of respecting us. So I was coaching in Chicago recently, and a woman comes up to me and she says, my husband walks out on me. I'm speaking to him. I said, well, I've done the same thing. She goes, really? I said, yeah, I came home from teaching. I was at Torah teaching. I walk into my wife's room, and it was Hanukkah. And she started telling me some sort of story. And I thought to myself, you know what? I have chocolate glazed donuts in the kitchen. I left the room. My wife goes, Daniel. I'm like, what? She goes, where are you going? I'm like, donuts? I'm sorry. Just like women have to understand, just like we have to do a better job of connecting to our wives, women have to understand we only have so much bandwidth. We can only sometimes handle so much talking. It's like, if I go to the mall and buy a shirt, my wife goes, oh, where'd you do? I bought a shirt. If my wife goes to the mall and buys a shirt, oh, where'd you go? Well, I met my friend Sarah. We couldn't find a parking spot, and we had to use the bathroom. Then we met our other friend. We had a cup of coffee. Like, I wish I could just plug her talking to a computer and go beep, 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 beep. We bought a shirt. Like, I know it's different, but we have different needs. And as a man and a woman, we have to understand those needs. So again, the first commandment is to know God. So we learn as Torah. Our first commandment, it's funny because our first commandment is to know our spouse. What speaks to them? Again, the younger you are, the less likely you can answer this question. As you get older, you kind of realize what you need in a relationship. But you're going to be pretty solid ground if you understand for a woman, if a man understands that a woman needs attention, affection, appreciation, and awareness of her needs. And for a man, he's going to understand that if wife respects him, he's going to be pretty darn happy. If a man runs a Fortune 500 company where he's the boss and everyone bows down to him and he comes home from work and his wife doesn't respect him, that relationship is going to fail. Relationships are not complicated, but people make them complicated. Men need three things. They need food, they need physical relations, and they need respect. Everything else is a bonus. I hate to say it's that easy. I was on a podcast recently, the PhD in psychology. He goes, Coach Ratner, you make it sound so easy. I go, I'm sorry, honey, you've been divorced 2 times. Don't make it complicated. If a husband doesn't show the proper attention, affection, appreciation, and awareness to his wife, she'll stop showing him respect. And if he has a hard time or she has a hard time, right? Marriage is like what I call a flywheel. It's almost like a fidget spinner. You know, a fidget spinner where you spin it and like when it starts to roll, it just keeps going, keep going, keep going. And like a relationship is based on all aspects between the husband and the wife. And so when one place is lacking, the other one doesn't do very well, is also lacking. So the answer I'm going to give for a husband that is selfish, really it comes from immaturity, right? It comes from a lot of immaturity. And this is why when people ask me, oh, when do I know if I'm ready to get married? I get this question all the time. I always say, it depends on the person. I have students who are 30 years old, not ready to get married. And I have kids who are 17 years old who are ready to get married. Not going to, but they're ready to because of their maturity level. And this is my answer. The 6 days of creation, God creates animals and he creates man. What is the difference between an animal and a man? An animal lives on instinct. Animals have a kind of a soul, not quite like our soul, obviously. They have some sort of speech, not like our speech, which is very in-depth. So they have similar things, but the instinct is the big difference. Animals live on instinct. The example I'm going to use. If you feed your dog dinner, and let's say you feed him at 5 o'clock and he has a meat dinner. You come home with a pizza at 7 o'clock in the evening and you put a slice of pizza on the floor. And you call your dog's not going to think to himself, you know what? I'm flacious, I shouldn't eat it, I'm a little chubby, I can't fit through the doggy door, I can't jump my owner's bed. No, that dog is going to eat that pizza without even thinking about it. Why? Because it lives on instinct. We're human beings. We have instincts, but we can control it. We're able to sit down at the dinner table and use a knife and a fork. A husband that is selfish uses a knife and a fork. He's not using his fingers. So he can certainly train himself to become a better person. This is our goal in life. Is to complete ourselves. Our goal as humans is to make us increase the quality of our midot, become better people. Yeah, when they're 22, they may be a little selfish. But if they have a good coach, a good rabbi, someone they confide in, they can say, I can work on myself. I'm not an animal. I can become a better person. Can you imagine a husband coming home from work and his wife finds out that he slept with the secretary? And she says to him, it's okay, honey. It's just your instincts. That's ridiculous, right? Men can improve themselves. The level of patience that I have now after 24 years of marriage does not compare to 24 years ago. The level of attention I pay to my wife does not compare to 24 years ago. The level of awareness I have for her needs does not compare to 24 years ago. Do you know why? Because I've been working on myself. I am trying to become a better listener. I was very impatient. I'm trying to become more appreciative of who she is as a person. I focus on why I fell in love in the first place. Because anyone you're going to marry is going to have faults. It's just a fact of life. And this is ultimately why when we get to the point in a relationship after 5, 10, 15 years of marriage, if you're working on yourself, you're going to come to the conclusion that your spouse isn't perfect. There's someone better in every category. There's someone who opens up more emotionally, someone who's funnier, someone's a better cook, someone who's skinnier, whatever you want in a relationship, there's someone better in every single category. But you come to the conclusion that your spouse isn't perfect, but they're perfect for you. Do you know why? Because you focus on why you fell in love with them in the first place. Everyone's got different shtick. Everyone's got different skill levels. Everyone understands your person you're married is not perfect. If you're looking for, if someone says, "Oh yeah, that person's perfect for me," they're an infatuation, not love. Love, as a noun, does not last very long. Telling your spouse "I love you" without backing it up with action means absolutely nothing. You change the word love from a noun to a verb. I am in the constant act of loving you. And this is what speaks to a woman and a man. I am the constant act of loving you. I do that by showing either respect to a man or appreciation, attention, affection, or awareness to a woman. And that is the first commandment of marriage, to know your spouse, just like we have to know God.